welcome back, and today we are doing another what's new at the drugstore haul video. This one's going to be a big one. I've got a bunch of stuff. This is a collective haul, so yeah, let's jump into it. And I'm wearing a bunch of this stuff on my face today. So first off, let's start with some Wet n Wild. I'm going to do swatches and kind of share my thoughts, if I have any yet, on these products. So first off, Wet n Wild has come out with a bunch of new stuff in their Photofocus line. They've also come out with some new stuff in their they've got several new collections out. They've got a couple of the super skinny products out. They've got the Mega Cushion line out, and then they have the Photofocus line. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the actual Photofocus foundation, and I have got the shade Nude Ivory. Now, I will say that I was not a fan of this foundation at first. I put it on, and every time I put it on, I was just having trouble. It was just showing a lot of texture on my face. So I really had to test this out. I was using this with the, I tried it with the CoverGirl primer. I tried it with the Smashbox Photo Finish, and none of those seemed to work. I do find that with this foundation, which is $5 by the way, I forgot to tell you that, that you really, if you're like me where you're drier or older, you don't have perfect texture to your skin, that you really do have to prep your skin appropriately, really make sure it's moisturized, and use a primer that is not too dimethicone and not too just straight up lotiony. I feel like if it's too lotiony, like the CoverGirl primer, which is from Wet n Wild, it's going to stick and the foundation's not going to blend really well. I feel like if it's too dimethicone, it's just going to slip and slide all over the place. It's kind of the opposite of the problem. So I found that a primer that's kind of right in the middle, like this one, the Stila One Step Corrector, which is kind of lotiony, but it also has a little bit of a slip to it. It's not really thick kind of moisturizer type of lotion, is really going to work best with that, just in my personal experience for somebody with dry skin. I do think it's a nice foundation. I would say it's light medium to full medium buildable coverage. I would not call this full coverage. I would not call it flawless. I do find that I have to layer it. I do have to put on a couple of different layers and blend it out. I have tried it with a brush. I do like these types of like flat top kabuki brushes with a more liquidy foundation, like with the NARS All Day Luminous, with the Lumi Cushion, those kind of liquidy foundations. I prefer this type of brush. So this is what I tried it with at first. I do not like this foundation with this type of brush because I feel like it just pushes it around the face. I have found that it's much better off with applying it with a beauty blender, a beauty sponge of some kind. So just some thoughts on that. I will say the color range on this is pretty fantastic. I want to say they're like 20 colors, I believe. I'm going to link all these products down below. So you open it up and you do get a paddle, and it is very liquidy. I do think the color match is really nice for me. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it blends in really nicely. It feels nice on the skin. That's what it looks like blended out. It smells like makeup. I mean, the smell really doesn't bother me, but it's a nice foundation. It wears pretty well throughout the day. I will notice that about 8 hours in, I'm going to have a little bit of breakdown right here and right here, which is where I tend to get the most breakdown from a foundation, just because I'm touching my face or I'm rubbing my, you know, my chin. I mean, I'm very dry, but if I have any kind of breakdown, it's always going to be in this area, just like a normal human being. I feel like that's where you're going to get the most breakdown, because that's where your pores are the largest and you have the most oil, if any, coming out of your skin. So I will say that. I will also say that I feel like it does not fully set on me, and I don't know if that's a combination of the powder and the foundation or just the foundation. It's very much like that Nuance foundation for me, where I love the finish, but it's still, even though I've had it on for a couple of hours or even 8 hours, at the end of the day, it will look very dewy, and it will look not, and it won't feel set. It'll still feel tacky to the skin. So I think this is a nice little foundation, especially for the price, because we all know that drugstore foundations are getting up there in price, and I really like the fact that Wet n Wild has come out with a very decent option with a nice color range for $5. So for what it is, I think it's a great little foundation. I have been wearing this just day to day. I have enjoyed it. I wore it around New York. I didn't like it on that day that what you doing, Sarah? I didn't like it on the day that I wore it, just because I felt like it brought out so much texture, but I was using it with the Smashbox Photofocus Photo Finish, sorry, primer. So, but yeah, I think with the right primer, if you prep your skin, this is a great affordable option in the drugstore. It takes photos beautifully. It doesn't have any flashback from what I've seen. And you know, you guys know I like Wet n Wild. So not the greatest foundation ever, but I think it's a great day-to-day foundation if you're willing to prep your skin, or if it's something where you prep your skin every day and moisturize really well. I think this is a foundation where if you're oily or combo, you're not gonna like it just because it is so dewy, just the nature of the product. But I think that if you are normal to dry, this is a really pretty natural finish foundation that's, even if you're dry, you're going to get a little bit of glow even towards the end of the day. So it's not a bad little foundation. Now, I will say I also picked up the concealer in the lightest shade, which is in Light Ivory. Now, it's a decent little concealer. It's got more of a yellow tone to whereas the foundation has more of a pink tone. It's a decent concealer. I don't feel like it is the most outstanding, stunning concealer I've ever tried. I don't like that the light shade is, or the lightest shade is, very brightening on me. It's just very much skin tone, where I do like a little bit of brightness in here. It is by no means going to be full coverage. I think Maybelline, if you go with the Maybelline Fit Me, you're going to be much better off, or the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin, you're going to be much better off than if going with this one. Just personal opinion. It's not bad, but it's, again, it's not blowing me away. I am wearing both of these today, by the way. And then finally in that Photo Focus line, in that kind of line, is the powder, which I am in the shade Warm Light. There's not as great of a selection on as the powders. Mine is, it's a baked powder, but it's very, very soft and nice to the touch. It kind of reminds me of the Revlon Nearly Naked powder. So it's very, very, it adds a nice layer of coverage and it doesn't get cakey. So in that, it kind of reminds me of the Maybelline Fit Me pressed powder and the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish, just kind of in that family. I'm not saying it's gonna be right on par with those, but I feel like it gives me a nice, a little bit of extra coverage. It doesn't look cakey. It looks very natural. And again, I feel like all of these products are very naturally glowy, and I feel like this powder does the same thing. It kind of gives a natural glow to the skin, and it doesn't set down completely matte. So I think if you're dry skinned, you're probably gonna really like this little powder. Again, it comes with a bunch of nice shades. The texture of it's really nice. I just use it as a light dusting all over to set my foundation. I have it on today again. I mean, I've got no complaints about it. I think my only complaint about it is that it doesn't set down completely. It's such a light powder that it doesn't really set my foundation completely, and that foundation, the tackiness, kind of wears throughout the day. Now, they also came out with a bunch of stick products, and these are all Mega Glow sticks. They came out with contours, highlights, concealers, and blushes. Now, I didn't pick up any blushes because I just don't really do blushes, cream blushes, that kind of thing. And I didn't pick up any of the contour shades because they all seemed a little too warm for me. But I did pick up one of the concealer shades. And I picked up, and I will say the packaging's kind of cheap on these, like it's already rubbing off. I barely had this a day. But this is in the shade, or a day, I barely had this a week, but this is in the shade Follow Your Bisque, which is a nice kind of peachy corrective tone. It's got a lot of nice peachiness to it. It's a lot thicker than the actual concealer. So this, I think, is gonna be really, really good for spot concealing. And I think it's gonna be really good for just kind of concealing underneath the eyes, just because of the tone of it, which I haven't played around with this one nearly as much as I have with just the actual tube concealer. So I will definitely play around with that more. And if you want to see, you know, more on that, let me know. And then I did pick up one of the highlighters, and I've got to say, this is the Mega Glow highlighter in Where the Nude Strikes, or When the Nude Strikes. And I've got to say, with this one, I'm already really bummed about it because this one just like fell out of the tube. I pressed it back in, but this is a problem I've run into with Wet n Wild before, and you guys know I love their products, but you can make a nice, inexpensive product that's not going to just fall out of the packaging. But the color is really, really pretty. It's a nice pinky champagne color right there. It's really nice. It blends out beautifully. I think it's going to be one of those products that is really, really subtle on the skin. I use these types of highlighters as a base for a powder highlighter. That's just how I use them in my routine. I generally don't use these on their own. I just like to use them. I'll take my e.l.f. small stipple brush and kind of sweep it along along the highlighter, along the product, and then just dab it on, and then I'll dust on another highlight, because this is beautiful. I think it's very pretty on its own. I just don't think it'd be very intense. So it just depends on the kind of look you want. So that's just how I prefer to do it, is just to, you know, apply it that way and then put a powder highlighter over it. I think the color range in these is really pretty, and again, I think these are like $4. So other than the product actually falling out, I think these are great little nice products, sticked products. They again, I can't speak to the blushes or to the contour products, but as far as the concealer, I will use this as a corrector and get back to you. And I do really like this as a highlight. It's just really pretty, just very subtle. Now, these two products I am wearing today. This is the new Wet n Wild Skinny Tip Eyeliner, or the Mega Slim Skinny Tip Eyeliner. Teeny tiny little brush. I've got to say, I'm wearing it today. It was very easy to put on. Please ignore this. This eye is watering. What else is new? But I did my wing with it today. I have had no problems with it. You know, just when it comes to eyeliner, I tend to have a lot of problems with it bleeding on the inner corner. So it did do that, but that's really nothing new. Really, the only eyeliner that doesn't do that to me is the Jordana Cat eyeliner. I feel like I have problems with every other eyeliner in my inner corner, so I'm not going to hold that against this product. I feel like it's just a matter of the fact that my eyes have some texture on them. I'm just older. It's just gonna happen. Now, I did do a get ready with me with this look, and I did use this product for the first time. Like I said, my eye is watery, but I'm pretty impressed with the staying power. It's gonna be nowhere near as good as the H2O proof as far as staying power, but it goes on really, really black. And I do not like felt tip liners, which I think I mentioned in that video, but this one is such a nice, thin, precise felt tip that it just didn't give me any problems at all as far as going on my eye. I mean, with the texture that I have on my eyes, it was very reminiscent of a brush tip. So I really, really am liking this product so far. You know, like I said, other than my eye watering, which is not the fault of this, I think this is a great little $3.99. I got this eyeliner for $3.99. I really like it. I think if you are somebody that has texture or has problems controlling your wing or anything like that, it was very, very simple, very user friendly. So I do really like this product so far. And then also they have the new Mega Slim Skinny Mascara. This is in black as well. I've used this a couple times. This is a very, very thin mascara. It's a very fibrous mascara. I don't know if you can tell. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's got little fibers in there. Now, it's a dry formula, but I don't find it to be too dry. I think it's the perfect kind of like formula to get really, really close up to your eyelashes, the base of your eyelashes, which I think is the intention of a skinny mascara wand like this. So you can get really, really close to your lashes and press it right up against your, you know, your lash line, and really get some nice separation and fluffy volume. And it's also really good for the lower lash line. It really just gives a soft, fluttery fullness to your lashes. It's not gonna give you an incredible amount of length or an incredible amount of like crazy thickness, but it's gonna give you some beautiful volume. And again, because the formula is not too wet, you can get it right up against your lash line and it's not gonna smear and smudge all over your eyeshadow or the rest of your skin. Next, let's talk about these. This is the Wet n Wild Perfect Pout Gel Lip Liner, and I have mine in Gone Burgundy. And I've got to say, I am really, really impressed with these so far. The color is absolutely stunning. So beautiful, so creamy. It goes on. I've worn it like a lipstick. I've worn it under liquid lipsticks. I've worn it under regular lipsticks. The staying power, I think, is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I think the color range is gorgeous. I just picked up one, but I do want to go back and get more. I just think they're so creamy and they're so smooth. They remind me a lot of the new Color Sensational lip liners from Maybelline, and also they remind me a lot of the Jordanas, which you guys know those are my ride or die. I love those. So these I would definitely recommend checking out as well. I think the staying power is great. The color range is really, really pretty, and the price is awesome. They're under $3. Okay, finally, let's talk about the new Mega Cushion line. Now, Wet n Wild has come out with a new line called the Mega Cushion. It's got cutesy little packaging on it. They're coming out with some correctors, which I haven't seen pop up anywhere but their website yet. So a peach, a yellow, a green, and a purple. They also have the new Mega Cushion Soft Matte Lip Creams. And I got mine in the shade Bubblegum in Paradise. Just these look identical to the Milani, the new Milani concealers. Let me go. So they've got the little sponge tip at the bottom, that round spongy tip, and pretty much the same amount of product. So you squeeze this up, and I will notice that I did get a lot of the clear kind of watery liquid when I first used this, and then it's definitely more solid. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those products that just sits on my lips and doesn't really give you full opaque color because I feel like it just gets pushed around by the sponge. I'm gonna have to try it out some more, but so far I don't know, just I feel like it's hard to get with this kind of applicator, it's hard to get a clean lip line. It's hard to apply it. It just gets pushed around. It's just, I don't know. I just think this is not a good format. Great format, I think, for concealer. You know, it doesn't bother me at all, but for the lips, I mean, the color's really pretty, but they only have 3 colors. I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. And then I know last time, I believe I talked about the Mega Cushion contour in the shade Cafe Au Soleil, which I did use in a tutorial. And I actually have used this. I used this when I was in New York. I really liked it. I mean, it's a little warm on me, but it's nothing that's too crazy or over the top. I just, again, apply it with an e.l.f. small stipple brush, and I really did enjoy it. And then I have the new Wet n Wild Mega Cushion highlighter, and this is in Whoa, That's Pearl. And again, I just feel like the packaging is really cheap. Like they could have put a hinge on it, but I do understand it's a lot cheaper. The color in here is really, really pretty. But again, it's very much like the stick concealer, to where I think it's going to be one of those colors it's really, really pretty, but it's very, very subtle. And I think if you're really looking for a highlight, once you get this on your skin, apply it with a brush, it's going to really be very subtle, and you're going to want to put a powder on top of it. So I look at this product as more of a highlighting base. So if you're not somebody who's really into all those steps, which I generally am not either, sometimes I just feel like putting as much product on my face as I can, then maybe you would really like this, or if you like a highlight that's very, very subtle. But I think anytime you use a product like this or that stick foundation, you do run the risk of kind of pushing your foundation around your face. So you just have to be careful with it, and it can sometimes cause more problems than it's worth. I mean, the packagings for these are really cute, but they're kind of inconvenient packaging because you have to unscrew it and then pop off the lid and get a brush, and where sometimes it's just easier to go into a powder foundation. So again, so far with this Mega Cushion line, I'm really, really not that impressed with it. I really like the mascara. I really like the liner, the lip liner, you know, and everything else is pretty much okay, but I would not run out to get these Mega Cushion products. All right, Jordana has also come out with some new products. They came out with the Jordana Sculpt and Go Creamy Contour Stick and the Glow and Go Creamy Strobing Stick. So these are really, really pretty. These are a nice price. They're $5 a piece, which I really liked. And I just got the shade Light 01 in the contour, which I'm actually wearing as a contour today. I don't think I put anything over it. I didn't. This is the only contour I'm wearing today. So it goes on really nice. It blends out beautifully. They remind me very much of the Maybelline V contour sticks that has the highlight and the contour in one, to where they're gonna be a little bit more subtle, but very, very beautiful. I mean, I think the way it blends out on the skin is great. I love the packaging. I think it's really, really pretty. And then I also have the highlight in Pearl Glow on my face today underneath the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting bar. So again, really, really pretty. I liked the gold and the pearl together. Again, it's gonna be one of those products that I kind of either use for a very subtle highlight, or I use it underneath a powder highlight, and I applied it the same way with the e.l.f. small stipple brush. So these, I think if you are interested in these, I think there's something invaluable about having at least a couple products like this in your collection. Just, it's fun to mix up. And sometimes they create the most natural contours, you know, because whenever I do a cream contour or a cream highlight, I do it in conjunction with the rest of my face, or the contour at least, when I'm doing my foundation. So I'll blend it in all together, and it just kind of creates a more seamless contour to your face, and it's just nice to work with. Guys, I'm sorry, this video is going to be forever. All right, guys, let's talk about some CoverGirl, because I did pick up some new things for them. The first thing I picked up is the new CoverGirl All Day Outlast Matte Finishing Powder. It's lightweight, silky smooth powder formula that helps give a perfectly matte finish, helps control shine, hour after hour matte shine, control oil-free, won't clog pores. Now, I haven't worn this all day yet because I've been trying out this Photofocus line, but I've got to say, I did play around with this, and holy crap, this gives such a matte finish. Now, this one is in the shade Fair to Light, so there weren't a bunch of shades for this powder. It is soft. It's not the silkiest powder I've ever tried before in my entire life, but it is a straight up full coverage powder. Like, it is no joke. You put this on and you are going to add an extra layer of coverage, and it is going to be matte. There is going to be nothing shining through on your face, which sometimes for some more extreme looks, that's what I really, really like. As far as the packaging, it's really interesting. It's got a clear top, and then you have the little mirror in there, and then you've got the sponge, which you kind of have to just lay in the product, so there's no other place for the product to go, which, I mean, for the sponge to go, so, which isn't the most hygienic thing. I'll probably get rid of that sponge, but so far I really like this powder. I will be trying this out more extensively this week, so if you want to see a more in-depth review, then let me know, but so far I'm pretty impressed with that. I also picked up the new CoverGirl Outlast All Day Concealer. It says a concealer with a soft touch tip for gentle application, a lasting formula that gives you a smooth matte finish that lasts all day. Instantly erase the appearance of dark circles and blemishes, oil-free, won't clog pores, soft touch applicator helps erase the appearance of dark circles. So again, I have played with this. It's got that sponge tip applicator, which really doesn't bother me. I know it freaks some people out. I really don't care. I wouldn't use it on anybody else, but you know. So this one is in the shade Fair. I've got to say it's more of a skin tone color for me. And it's not the fullest coverage. I think this is a nice, like, everyday concealer so far. Again, I have to work with it a little bit more. It does have a little bit of that peachiness that I do like in certain concealers, so I could see me mixing this with something else a little bit brighter, so I get the brightness and the peachy tones in there to really help correct underneath my eyes. I like to mix and match with concealers anyway, so I will continue to play with this. Again, nothing extremely heavy duty, but you know, if you are looking for something with a little bit of a peachiness to it to conceal underneath, at least as far as the fair shade goes, or you just like mixing your concealers like I do until you find the perfect combination, you might be interested in this, but I'm gonna have to play around with this more until I can really come back with a decision on it. You bored of me yet? Next, I picked up this. I've been looking for this for a while just because I love the first three so much. And this is the CoverGirl True Naked Jewels. I think this is beautiful, and I love the back of this because it spells out 4 different looks for you. And I love that there's so many more colors popping up in the drugstore. I'm about to do a No More Neutrals, another No More Neutrals video about just great colorful products in the drugstore that are popping up that are affordable, that just make color a little bit more accessible, because generally we think of it as a high-end thing. So, but yeah, they, again, like the original ones, they do have names. So Sunstone, so you have Sunstone Onyx, Pearl Gold, Quartz, Sapphire, Green Amber, and Amethyst are the shades. So these are actually really, really pretty. So I like that you have the colored diagrams in the back. I think that's great for people who are beginners or maybe not very familiar with color. And these are very, for the most part, very wearable looks. You've got a little bit more of a dramatic kind of green smoky eye and a little bit of a purple, but some very beautiful looks in here. I've got to say, I feel like these are very consistent as far as the texture and the pigmentation of the other ones. They are soft to the point where you are going to have a little bit of crumbliness in them. The one shade I would say is probably going to need a little bit of help either with a base or to foil it is that green shade. So that's Onyx. That is, I think that one is gold. I think this one is gold, which is gorgeous. This one is Green Amber, which again is a little bit thinner. It's a little bit more of a chunky, glittery shade. But you guys know I don't give a flying flip about those because if the color's pretty, I'll make it work. Then you have Sapphire, Amethyst. This one I believe is Sunstone, which is also beautiful. So Sapphire, Amethyst, Sunstone. I've got to say for purple, I'm pretty impressed. The blue is probably going to need a little bit of help too. The purple is really pretty and it's got kind of that bluish turn to it. And then Sunstone is really pretty. So you can see the blue is probably needs a little bit of help, but it can be built up. I would say the blue in the Milani palette is probably better, but it's nice to have it in this little palette. And then you have, what are these? Then you have Quartz and Pearl. Quartz is the one matte shade in the palette, which I kind of like because I like that they have a soft transition shade in the palette that's matte. Again, it's going to be a little bit powdery, but it's really, really pretty. And then that Pearl shade has a really pretty pink shift to it. So again, it's going to be a palette that probably needs a little bit of help, but you're looking at a $11 palette as opposed to a $50 palette. So I'm a little bit more forgiving when it comes to that. And I think it's great. It just, any kind of eyeshadows that give people more color options in the drugstore that are widely accessible, where you can just go in and grab them off the shelf, look at them, you know, kind of be very, it's that tangibleness to them. It's one thing to buy something online, but to go in and really look at it and really see the colors in person makes a difference. So I like these little palettes for that reason. So those are really pretty colors. I've got to play around with that. Let me know if you want to see a look with this. Guys, I'm being really chatty. I haven't filmed in like 2 weeks other than my New York vlog, and apparently I missed you guys. All right, let's talk about some Maybelline. Actually, no, we're saving Maybelline till last. Let's talk about some L'Oreal. So L'Oreal has a bunch of new Infallible stuff. I've already talked about the lip paints. I haven't gotten the new foundation just because I feel like it's going to be really, really heavy and dry on my already dry skin. It's the middle of winter. I just feel like it wasn't the time to try that foundation and give it a really good go. So I passed on the foundation, but I did pick up 2 of the L'Oreal of the Infallible Paint eyeshadow duos, and this one is in Cool Ivory and this one is in Mint Detox, and the colors just really kind of grabbed me on these, and I love these kinds of shades. So you've got the doe foot applicator, this is the Cool Ivory for bases. I think they're beautiful. I think they're beautiful on their own, but I love them as bases to really intensify color. And I've got to say, these are really, really beautiful. I swatched them yesterday, and I tend to leave products on my hand just to see how they'll wear, because if they're gonna wear on me, at least if they're going to wear on my hand when I'm washing my hand and doing things and touching things, and they're going to wear on my eyes, which generally eyeshadows tend to wear pretty well anyway. So they do dry down to a very kind of long-lasting finish. I did find that after a while, probably after about 8 hours, they did start to flake off a little bit, but it was nothing that was concerning. It was just, you know, let me see if I can rub on these and make them flake off. So you're getting this green one is absolutely beautiful. I want to say there were probably about 10 or 12 shades of this. So the first 2 were both sparkly. On the Mint Detox, the mint shade is going to be matte. It might have a little bit of a sheen to it, and then the deeper green side has a little bit of shimmer. Beautiful. I'm really excited to use these. I think, again, it's just I love it when a company comes out. Even if I'm not a fan of the product, like those lip paints, I'm really not a big fan of that product, but I love that they're coming out with these colorful options in the drugstore, because it makes makeup so much more exciting than walking in and seeing the same old shades over and over again. So these are absolutely beautiful. I'm really excited about these. I believe these were $10. So again, I'm excited to use these, and I might just use these in a look by themselves to see how they come out, because so far I think these are miles above the chrome color tattoo chromes, just in as far as pigment and opacity. So if you're between the chromes, you know, the color tattoo chromes and these, I would go with these. And then they also came out with some new Infallible liquid eyeliners, Infallible paint liquid eyeliners. And again, they had some really pretty colors. They had a royal blue, a black, a white, a teal, a green, and an aqua. Teal, green, something like that. So I got the teal, and these have a very, very long felt tip on them. I've got to say though, it's a nice flexible felt tip. And the color is really, really nice. It's almost like it's not too wet of a formula where I don't feel like it's gonna bleed. It doesn't bleed. If it doesn't bleed on my hand, it's not gonna bleed out of my eyes, generally, just in my experience. Nice opaque color. Again, these are really nice, long wearing. I let them dry, rubbed on them. I mean, I had to wash it off with soap and water to actually get the liner off my hand. So I'm really excited about those. Those are $10 each. I think fun eyeliners in the drugstore. Again, it's just, I get excited when I see these fun colors, guys. I can't help it. I just think it's so much fun. So yeah, so those are the things I got from L'Oreal. Ooh, L'Oreal is bringing it with the colors, guys. Just props to them. Really exciting. And then I also picked up some more of the Jordana Sweet Matte Lip Creams. You guys know I love this formula. Tiramisu is in my yearly favorites. So I was excited to see an expanded range from them. So I picked up 5 new shades. So yeah, let's just go ahead and swatch these. The first one I have is called Ghost Town, which I believe came out for Halloween, because I did see a display with a bunch of different colors. And I got this one because I thought it'd be fun to mix with other colors and lighten up, which I actually used it in conjunction with some other shades today. So that's Ghost Town. I don't think they did anything to the formula. The formula is just as good as it was. This is in the shade Buttercream Frosting, which is a really light nude pink, which I've been trying to give these more of a go, guys, because you know I've been really liking the nudes lately. The next shade I am absolutely obsessed with. I don't say that often, but every time I put this on, I'm just like, yes. This is the shade Cinnamon Toast, which is a beautiful, like, just dusty brown color. It's so pretty. I wore this all around New York. Loved it. Such a beautiful shade. This is almost as good as Tiramisu. Almost. Then I picked up this deep, beautiful kind of muted red, which is called Red Velvet Cake, which I have not worn yet, but I'm really excited to try that one. And then I picked up this one, which I'm going to have to try again, but this is called Sweet Marsala Wine. Guys, it's one of those colors that's just right up my alley. But I tried to wear this in New York, and I'm going to try it again because I love this formula so much, but it was immediately like patchy and cracky. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to try this one again because that'll be really disappointing. But so far, the other ones I'm really, really liking. I love them just as much as I love the original launch. So if you're in the market for a good, affordable liquid lipstick that's thin, that's comfortable, I really enjoy these. I think these are some of the best in the drugstore. So these are really good. All right, so I forgot to talk about this one. I knew I was forgetting something. This is the new Lash Renegade Multi-Dimensional Mascara from Wet n Wild in Brazen Black. This claims to have a built-in fiber formula, boost volume and length, and that's really all it says on this one. It's supposed to be it's supposed to also be smudge proof. I will say that I wasn't quite sure about this one. It's not my favorite, again, like the Mega Slim, it's not my favorite mascara from Wet n Wild, but it is really nice. I'm wearing it in combination with the Mega Slim today. It's got a very, very unique brush on it, and it also has, sorry, I've got baby wipes there. It's got a very unique brush on it. Let's see if it'll focus there. So you can see it's got a very unique plastic brush with a very exaggerated ball tip at the end. The formula is much more wet than the Mega Slim mascara, but this one's kind of growing on me. I know that in my New York vlog, I talked about how I wasn't quite sure about this one. I will say that it's growing on me. I like the formula. It's really good for, I think, kind of in combination with other mascaras to really, like, if you get really good fluttery volume out of one mascara, this is going to be good for kind of adding depth and blackness and some length. It's also really good on the lower lash line. It doesn't smudge on me. It doesn't flake, which is really good. So again, another decent little mascara from Wet n Wild. So I don't think this one is as good as the Max Fanatic Cat Eye mascara or the Mega Length, but I do think it's a really good little mascara. Again, when you're looking at mascaras that can get upwards of $10 or $12 in the drugstore right now, this one is like $3. So really not a bad little price. So not bad. I'm wearing, like I said, I'm wearing that one in combination with the Mega Slim today. All right, guys, let's talk about some Maybelline. So first off, I did get the Maybelline Dream Cushion Liquid Foundation on the go. This one is going to have about the same as the Lumi Cushion. It's 0.51 ounces. It's pretty much the exact same. It looks exactly the same. So, I mean, they're pretty much the exact same packaging. I can't remember if L'Oreal is owned by Maybelline or not, or Maybelline is owned by L'Oreal. So pretty much exact same packaging. I mean, you're getting the exact same amount. I find it to be kind of the same formula. I feel like it performs the same way. I need to try this one out more. I feel like this one is giving a little bit more of a less luminous finish than this one, but that's just from 1 or 2 uses. I need to kind of really just compare and contrast them. I don't think these foundations are for everybody. I really like these kind of cushion foundations because I find them convenient and easy, especially when you're on the go. You are paying more money for the convenience of packaging and not necessarily for the amount of product. So just keep that in mind if you're interested in these. But if you're somebody that just doesn't really care about that and it's just about the convenience and the way the product wears, I think this is a really nice, like, light medium to full on medium bordering on full coverage depending on how you build it up. And I really just like the Dream line. I really like their foundations, so I'm partial to this one as well. But again, if you want to see a more in-depth review, demo, anything like that, let me know. I'm sure I'll be using this in some upcoming tutorials. So I also picked up the Maybelline Master Camo Color Correcting Kit, and I picked this one up because you've got color correcting, you've got concealers in here, and you also have like a pretty highlighter in here, which is actually not a bad little highlighter. So I find that the creams in here are not too waxy. They don't have too much of a slip to them. They're not too thick. They don't grab too much. So for somebody like me, this is gonna be great because it's gonna give me some color correction as far as texture and just what I've experienced so far. Again, please ignore my eyes today because they're watering and a mess. But I find that they're that great kind of right in between texture where they're gonna blend in really beautifully, especially if you have drier eyes. You don't want something that's so full coverage and cakey that it's going to grab and just accentuate every line and wrinkle that you have, but you don't want to have something that has so much slip to it that it just kind of blends away without any kind of coverage at all. And I feel like this is like right in between there for me. And again, I'm gonna have to do some more testing with this, but just first impressions of it, I'm really kind of excited about this little product and I'm really glad I picked it up. I wasn't going to, but I'm really glad I did. All right, finally guys, the last thing I picked up is the new Expert Wear eyeshadows from Maybelline. So these are $3.99 in Walgreens. I believe they're around, or $3 in Walgreens, and they're like $2.50 at Walmart. So it just depends on where you pick them up. There are 20 of these, and I've got to say they're what I'm wearing on my eyes today, and so far I'm really impressed with them. They've got some beautiful bright colors. They've got some unique colors. I'm going to do a whole just quick review and swatch fest of these, just talk about a little bit. Some of these are first impressions, and I have, again, that's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I've got to say, for what I'm seeing, I'm really impressed. Some of these deeper, darker shades that really blended out just absolutely beautifully. What did I use on my eyes today? I used Soft Pearl on the inner part of my lid. I used Linen all over. I used Cool Cocoa to, in my transition and to blend out the deeper shades underneath my eyes. Again, please don't judge these eyeshadows on my eyes today. I used Made for Mocha in the crease. I used Night Sky in the outer V. I used Vanilla right on the inner corner, and then I used this one, which I'm loving, Nude Glow on the lid. So really impressed with these so far. I've used a bunch of them today. Again, I'm going to do a real quick swatch fest and kind of first impressions of these as well, which might be up before this video. So if it is, I'll link it down below. But yeah, that's my drugstore, what's new at the drugstore haul number 2. I'm going to be trying to review as much of the stuff as possible, but again, if you're interested in anything at all, let me know down below because I'm happy to do a dedicated review to that product. I've got so much makeup I'm trying out and working on that it might take me a while to get to it. So again guys, it might take me a while to get to it, but I always want to give you a coherent review of what I think about it, the pros and cons, and really test it out for a while. So yeah, I have got some videos coming up this week. I'm going to be doing a review of the Peach palette as well as a comparison of that palette to a fake peach palette and just some thoughts on fake makeup. I'm going to be doing a No More Neutrals. I'm probably going to have a Get Ready With Me. I'm eventually going to finish those freaking 31 days of tutorials. I've got 3 more to do. I need to get on it. I'm sorry, I suck. But yeah, I hope this was entertaining for you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and talking about makeup with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Have a rocking week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.